Lesson 1.7, Constant Rate of Change. A rate of change is the rate that describes how one quantity changes in relation to another. In a linear relationship, the rate of change between any two quantities is the same. A linear relationship also has a constant rate of change. So again, we're figuring out what are we changing by every time, per one of something. So we have two ways of doing this. We flip to the next page. The first one is you can use the table to find the constant rate of change. So if we look at example A, the table shows the number of miles a plane traveled while in flight. Use the information to find the approximate constant rate of change in miles per minute. So I want to know how many miles can I go every minute? What are we changing by? So to figure this out, when we look at our table, we're going to find the change from column to column in each row. So that means, what is the difference between 30 to 60? Well, we changed by 30. And then the difference from 60 to 90 is 30, and 90 to 120 is 30. So we were changing by 30 minutes every time. We're going to do the same thing for our miles. From 290 to 580 is 290. From 580 to 870 is 290. And 870 to 1160 is 290. So I figured out what is my change in minutes and then my change in miles. But I want to know what is my change in miles per minute. So then I'm going to take what was I changing in miles, and I'm going to put it over what was my change in minutes, which was 30. And again, I want it per minute. So then I need to simplify this, take numerator divided by denominator. And when we take 290 divided by 30, we get 9 7/10. So we would say we change by 9 7/10 miles per minute. Okay, example B, the table shows the number of students that buses can transport. Use the table to find the constant rate of change in students per bus. So again, I'm going to figure out what am I changing by each column for each row, and then I'm going to figure out my students per bus. So from 2 to 3 is 1, 3 to 4 is 1, 4 to 5 is 1. I'm changing by 1 every time. Then 144 to 216 is 72. 216 to 288 is 72. And 288 to 360 is 72. So again, I'm changing by 72 students every time. So then what I want to know is I want to know the change in students per school bus. So I'm going to figure out my change in students, which was 72. And I'm going to put that over my change in buses, which was 1. Again, I have to simplify that. I want it per 1. Well, 72 divided by 1 is 72. So we would say our constant rate of change is 72 students per bus. So for every bus that we have, we can transport 72 students. Okay, another way we can solve this is to use a graph. So you can use a graph to find the constant rate of change and to analyze points on a graph. So now you're going to tell me, what do these points mean? So if we go down to example C, use the graph to find the constant rate of change in miles per hour while driving in the city. So we could take our points and we could make a table and then solve it like we just did on the other page. Or we could take the change in y over the change in x. So again, I wanted miles per hour. I could take 2 points, find the difference between those, and put it over the difference between our hours. So if I pick points 260 and 390, I'm going to find the change in them. So I would take 90 minus 60 over 3 minus 2, because it's the change in y over the change in x. Then I would simplify. 90 minus 60 is 30. 3 minus 2 is 1. And then again, I want to simplify this. So I simplify 30 over 1, which is 30. And then my labels were miles per hour. So we are changing a difference of 30 miles every hour. An example D says, on the lines below, explain what the point 0, 0 and 130 represent. So now we got to go find those points on our graph. So I find point 0, 0. So I have to explain, what does that mean? Point 0, 0 means I traveled 0 miles in 0 hours. And then it says point 130. So again, I go to my graph. The 1 represents my number of hours, and the 30 represents my miles. So I would say we could travel 30 miles in 1 hour. So again, when you're analyzing the points or explaining what they mean to me, you got to figure out what does each point correspond with the label on the graph. What is it telling us? Point 130 means we can go 30 miles in 1 hour.